Hello everyone. Today we are going to integrate Interactor with some various popular controllers on Asset Store. And so mostly Interactor works out of the box, so that will be a regular setup process. But also we will integrate InteractorAI for different type of controllers. So even you don't have these assets, you will have an idea of how to implement InteractorAI to your controller. So let's get started. But don't worry, it is a quite easy process. So even developers without coding skills can easily manage that. So we have first Invector here. It is 2.6.2 version, and now we will integrate. We will set up first Interactor. So here is our controller. So this is all fresh installs. I have Interactor 0.95 with me. So this is the Invector's test scene, demo scene. Now I'm gonna start adding my Interactor. So let's close these guys, so we will have more space for ourselves. Now I'm gonna add Interactor first, obviously, and I'm going to start Interactor. So it will ask me to create a new file. Let's create. This is good, and it will add my first effector. So this will be our left hand, and I will select my left hand here, and I will click Auto, and it will adjust everything, including the sphere collider. So I can also close this. Let's add another one for the right hand, and it is going to be right hand, and again Auto will do everything. So this is almost done. Let's see our player layer here. So as you can see, it is on the player. It is same with default value, so we don't need to change anything here. And let's go add our Interactor IK over here. So we need to assign our animator, which is on the player. That's good. And we will add two body parts, one for left hand and one for right hand. And we will match child bones, so it will also rotate the fingers with our gestures, with our targets. So the one thing we need to look at before closing the Interactor IK, that if we have anything in our hand other than the bones, fingers in this case. So let's see if we have anything here. I have my left hand, so it is all fingers. There's nothing else. Also all fingers. That's good. So we don't need to add, we don't need to exclude anything here. We will see some different examples. So let's copy our left hand and right hand. Now I'm gonna move them out of the place. Also, we are done with this one. So I will add Interactor target to both of them. And this one is left hand target, and it will use itself. And this one is right hand target. Also, it will use itself. Let's also rename them. Okay, one last thing before creating the prefabs. I'm gonna reset their positions, but they have 100 scale. So I'm not going to use reset. Instead, I need to manually reset their positions and rotations. So when I spawn them in scene view with right click, they will exactly spawn in the place where I click. So you can actually add some little offsets and rotations, so they will spawn like that. But let's skip that part. It is up to you. Now we are ready, so we can create our prefabs. Let me push them, I don't know, here, and it will create my prefabs. I'm done with them. So let's open our spawner window here, and let's add our, this is right hand, first prefabs, and this is left hand, and okay. This is also done. Now let's try testing some interactions. So the process is almost done. We can also add basic UI and basic input interact. Basic input interact. So this will allow us to use our E key to start interactions. So you can use that in your controller with different key. And the UI will show the interactions in our scene, in our screen. So let's create a cube maybe. Okay. Let's leave it here, and I'm gonna come over here. So did I close my spawner? Let's place it somewhere behind. And now I can right click and left click, and it will spawn my left hand target here. Let's rotate it, maybe like this. Let's give a quick maybe rocking gesture. Okay, so we can see if the fingers are working correct. So this was the hand target. Let's move it a bit further from the object, maybe a bit higher. Okay, looks good to me. Now it didn't add any interactor objects because we don't have the presets yet. Now let's instead add it ourselves. So it will be basic manual button interaction, and it will use the default settings. And that's done. Now we can test our first interaction here. Let's start the scene and let's see what will happen. So over here, if we get close, if the angles and position correct, we can interact. But it doesn't do anything, unfortunately. So there is one more thing we need to do, because there is no IK pass on this character. So on the animator and the controller, if we double click on the layers, as you can see, we don't have any IK. So animator doesn't call IK update. So let's go on the base layer. We will need just one, and it will be on base layer. Here we will enable the IK pass, and we will go back to our scene, and we will try again. Now let's go to object and press E. Now it is working nicely. Also the fingers are working well. So the interactor setup is done for Invector. So it is working and it is ready to use. Okay, so this was the interactor basic setup. Let's save the scene. Now let's start with the InteractorAI. That's a bit more tricky. Actually not tricky, it is quite easy, but it is a new thing for all users. So for that, now we need a Pathfinder object. So let's create an empty object here, Pathfinder. This will process our pathfinding operations. Let's add the Pathfinder. That's okay. We will need just one, so that's enough. Let's create another object, and it will be path grid. It will use the path grid component. So let's go out. So this is the demo scene layout. Let's place it somewhere in the middle and increase our grid size. So it will cover the whole area. So this is a really big area. So let's also move it a bit centered. Yeah, this is, let's make it 50 by 50 maybe. Okay, this is not enough, and 60. So you need to adjust it perfectly, but I'm not going to do that. But you can do that, because the extra space, all extra space means will cost you performance, okay? Now it is done. The interactor layer will be our player, and the ignore mask. Okay, now we need to create a new layer here. Let's add it somewhere, maybe here. Let's call it ignore mask. You can call it anything. So this ignore mask layer will hold the objects that we don't want to collide with. Okay, So let's select our path grid. By the way, we need to place this one on the ground exactly same height, okay? Or it will check on this level. So let's place it on 0 and it looks okay. So let's select our ignore mask layer to ignore. Also, we need to ignore the player as well. Obviously, we don't want to collide with the player. We don't want this area to unwalkable. And so let's select our floor object. So this is it over here. Let's assign it to ignore mask. Also, there is one more here. This one. Yep, it covers the whole area. And I'm gonna select again ignore mask. So these objects will be ignored. So it won't collide. And there is also this door. Let's add it to, okay. Yeah, it has a box collider. So we don't want to be unwalkable here, because the characters moves the door directly. So let's ignore mask. So there is also some other stuff, the triggers here, but triggers doesn't matter, okay? Only the colliders, what we are interested. So this process is also done. Let's continue. Select grid. So the node radius is okay. Player extra height maybe 2. Player radius and player height. So let's go our character, find our capsule. It is 0.35 and 1.8. Let's write that 1.8. And the player step I will leave it as 0, because I don't know if this character can move through objects. I think it can. Yeah, it is up to you. You need to see these options, because I don't know how to use the Invector. Yeah, it is. Yeah, there is a grounded here. So slope, and yeah, there's step options here, so it can move some objects. I think it is 0.1. Yeah, you can set your settings yourself. Let's go back. I will leave 0 for now. The penalty is good. So interactor objects with AI options enabled. So we have our cube, but we didn't enable our AI options. Let's create a target here. Let's call it AI target. So this will be around here, right? I'm in local. So let's rotate this so the player will go to this position, right? The height doesn't matter, but it needs to go to this position as X and Z. And the direction is really important, so player will stand like looking further. Okay, this is good. Let's assign our targets. And the AI is now enabled. Now I can add my interactor object to interactor objects of the path grid. Now it is going to work. And we can also see the debugs. So we can see if the area is good. Okay, I think we managed to do our first 2 components, and there is one more, which is going to be on the player object. So let's add our InteractorAI. So this will control our character. We need interactor. We need the player transform, the main parent object we will rotate, and the pathfinder in the scene. The Invector uses 2 axes with camera relative direction, so we will use that. We need our player camera. So player camera in this scene, the main camera is here. Let me select that. It is going to be on the player camera. Okay, it is done. We can enable the run button. It is, I guess, left shift, right, for Invector. Rotate player directly, yes. The settings. So we can experiment with these values. We will try some values here, but let's first try if the system is working okay. I'm gonna save. Okay, so this was the InteractorAI setup. Now the integration part, we need to dive into some codes, but it is so easy. So InteractorAI uses two things to control character. One is the rotation. Rotation is mostly rotating the player transform directly. So because it is easier, because the rotation inputs are quite tricky. And also the forward, player forward. So it moves player forward. So to do that, it uses input. It sets some inputs like a real player do. Because the inputs are the most common thing for different controller types. So because of that, it is I find it easier to design the system like that. So it can be easily implemented in any kind of inputs. So we will see that. So the Invector uses the vInput script here. So it is here. Let's open it. Let me grab my screen. So on the vInput, on the line 550, yeah, we have this keyboard and mouse input. So it checks input get axis row with the given button name. Okay. So we will just disable this. And instead of that, we will use return InteractorAI input dot get axis. And we will again pass the same button names. So this will work the same. Everything will work same like input get axis row here. Except when the interactor controls the character, it will set the forward buttons. Other than that, it will work same. Now we can save the scene. Let's go back. And that's it. That's just one line of code. Let's see our InteractorAI. So we have our vertical names. Sorry. And we have our horizontal names. So these are mostly common names, mostly used. So we can try. Let's try if it is working. I'm gonna separate my scene view. Okay, first of all, we have a problem here, right? Because we changed the ground layers. So Invector doesn't know or ignore mask as its ground. So we need to set that first. On the controller, open properties, grounded. So there is this ground layer. These floor objects were default, but we changed them. So we need to add ignore mask layer as well. So Invector will know this layer 2 is ground. Okay, we can try again. By the way, we are creating 75,000 nodes and checking each one of them, and it is working. It is loading quite fast. Not a single slowdown. So now it is working well. If I press E key, it controls the character by itself. It goes. So the only thing we need to adjust here some InteractorAI values because this character right now goes off track, right? Also, there is one more issue here, which is this area, the player start location, also set as unwalkable, right? Other than that, the whole area is perfectly fine. It collided some invisible colliders here, I guess, and the rest is all right. So let's also fix that really quick. So we have our player. So I looked into this character, so it has some extra colliders here, which are different objects with different layers, right? So we need to add them too. Also, there is a head track that only enabled in first frame and disappear. So it was a bit hard to find. So we need to add those layers to ignore as well on path grid. So we have player. This is head track, and there is also body parts. We need to ignore these two layers too. So that way, this area will be walkable. Now, yeah, the character movement, right? Let's select our object. So the character, this Invector character moves really fast. So I'm gonna lower its speed maybe. What else? So maybe I can increase my turn speed a little bit. You need to experiment with these values and find the best ones that suits you. So let's try this one. Let's go to this area. I'm pressing E and it goes by itself. It is going to interact with this cube. Okay, it is looking good. Let's increase our distance with the object. Maybe this interactor object is right around here, the far corner. Let's try again. And by the way, I want to see my path as well. So I'm gonna select my scene and place it somewhere here on top view so we can see our path. So when I press E, it created the path for me and it goes by itself. But it is a bit slow, right? Maybe I can increase its speed a little more. So instead of 0.5, let's give it 0.8. And on the, because we already slowing the character a bit more when we rotate. So let's try this one. Now it is going a bit faster. It is going, it is exactly on the spot. So the integration is done. The InteractorAI is working. The interactor was already working with a regular setup. Let's select my cube. Go here, bro. Come over here. Follow me. Follow right around here. All right, it is done. Okay, I hope you find it easy. We just changed one line of code. Also, if you want to add a running option as well, you need to find your running input for that too. So I think it was on, let's see, with third person input over here. So there was a line on 490. So this is just for adding the run option as well. So over here, yeah. So it depends on two things. There's an option for continuous sprint. So you need to change one of them, which one you are using. So this is default one. Let's change this one with InteractorAI input dot get key. And then we need to pass the sprint input key here. Okay, so it will again work as same, but InteractorAI can also use the sprint key as well. Let's have a quick test. So where was our object? Good. Now I'm gonna press E again. There it is. Okay. So that was for the Invector. Now let's move on and set our get our setup for the next controller, and that will be the Opsive. So Opsive is another popular third-person controller. It also has first-person as well, I guess. So this is its basic locomotion demo scene. So this version is Opsive 0.10. It is the latest right now. And let's begin with this one, right? So we have our canvas here. I'm gonna hide it so we can easily see the scene. Okay. First of all, this is a bit different because the character is not here. The character spawns on the start phase. So we need to find the character first. It is on demo and prefabs characters right here. It is spawning this character when we start the game. Let's test it. And we will select locomotion. And here is our character. Okay. So let's select our character. We will do everything on the prefab instead of the scene. So it will be same thing. We have two characters here. I am just gonna use it on one of them. And so this one has the animator here, but this time for a difference I will make a setup on the parent object which doesn't have the animator on. So this way you can see the how it can be done with different animator object. So let's add our, let me just close down this. Let's start with our interactor. Add my interactor. Let's start our interactor, create our new save file for the Opsive. And this will be again left hand and left hand. Let's adjust it. It is done. Add another one for the right hand and auto. Now let's quickly add our interactor IK. So we added two parts, right? One for the left hand and one for the right hand. And I will again match my child bones. So this character has some extra objects on its hands. So let's find them first. Root. So we have spline over here, and the shoulders, arms, forearms, and hand. So as you can see, we have two extra objects on left hand and two on right. So I will exclude them from the bones. So two for the left. So we won't process those items unnecessarily. And two on the right hand. Okay, they are excluded. And we are almost done. We need to assign our animator, which was on the Atlas object, right? But the thing with the animator is animator IK pass only be called for objects that on the same object. So this animator here, it won't call interactor IK in IK pass. So to fix that, this is the only case where when you have animator on different object. So you need to add animator callback. Where is it? Here. The animator callback and assign your interactor IK. So this will make sure it is interactor IK will be called. Okay. And it is done. Let's add also our basic UI and basic input interact. Basic input interact. And now we can create our targets really fast. I'm just going to copy this. We are just going to work as if we are in the scene, same workflow. So this will be right hand target, this will be left hand target, and I will add interactor target to both of them again. So this is right hand, and it will use itself, and this is left hand, and again it will use itself. Also, I can reset their positions since they are scaled as one. Reset and reset, so they will go to origin point. Now I can create my prefabs. They are ready, and I am done with them. So let's not forget to delete them, otherwise they will be included in the prefab. The one thing we missed, the layer settings. So it is going to be needed to be set. It is on different layer here as character. Okay, let's change it. Character. It is also done. Did I miss anything? I think no. Okay, I think we can now try. Yeah, we can try the objects. Yeah, I missed something. Yes, now I remember. On the targets, we forgot to exclude the bones as well. So these hands again have the extra items, so they need to match with the object, with our player. We need to exclude them on the targets as well. Okay, so this was left hand. Let's go to right hand, and we have two extra items here as well. The children is not important, only the parents. Okay, now let's create our first interaction. So the player spawns right on this spot. Let me create a cube here. Okay, it is too far away. All right, let's place it here. And let's add our targets to our spawner. This is left hand, and this is the right hand. Now I can spawn my left hand here. We are done. Let me adjust this position and gesture. So let's also give him same rocking. Okay. Okay. So this is done. Let's add our interactor object. Again, it will be a manual button with default settings. Done. So did I miss anything? I think no. Let's try, right? So this character already uses IK, so it won't need to be set IK pass. I'm gonna press E. Okay, it is working. The one thing though, the weapon changing button is also E, so you may want to change that too. So on the basic input interact, let me just quickly open. Here it is. So we are using here E key to get use here. We can change this one with F and save it. Also, we can change the text as well because it will say E on the screen. So it is right over here. Let's change it F. Okay. Now let's test again. Our character goes here, presses E. So the one thing, this animation is too fast. Let's slow it down, maybe 2, and maybe this one is also double. Let's go back. Okay. So Interactor works with Opsive controller. Now let's start with the integration of InteractorAI. So let's save our scene. Again, firstly, I will create my Pathfinder. Let's add our Pathfinder. Let's add our Path Grid object as well. Okay. So this can be. Firstly, let's not forget this time. It will be on the ground, and it will be on the maybe somewhere around here. Let's again create a big one. Okay, 50 by 50. Maybe somewhere here. Okay. So it needs the player layer. It was the character, and now we need ignore mask. Let's create our ignore mask. I will add it here. And now let's change the floor objects to ignore mask, so they won't collide. This is the, where is it? Ignore mask. Also, let's change these objects as well, because our character seems like can walk on this. So this was here. I think this is the whole set. Yeah. Let's change this one to ignore mask as well. And say, yes, change children. And over here, this goes to ignore mask. This goes to ignore mask. And also this can too, the domes. Ignore mask. Yes, change children, because we don't want to collide any of them. The rest can stay. Actually, the character can walk here, so you can change this too. But there will be some problems maybe here if it is going to walk. Anyways, okay. So this setup is done for the mask. Let's add our character, and let's add our ignore mask. Okay, This can be 2 again. So let's see how big our character. On the capsule. Okay, it is not here. It should be here, right? Where is your capsule? Oh, there is a colliders. There it is. So it is 0.4 and 2. Okay. It is 0.4 and 2 for height. I will leave 0 for this. And the interactor object. So our object is here. Let me create a empty as AI target. We will be maybe around here, maybe a bit closer. That's good. Let's assign it to AI target and the object to grid. All right. It seems all set. So I'm thinking if we skipped anything. I don't think so. So now let's add our Interactor AI to our character. So it is right here. Add our Interactor here. Come on. Interactor AI. So this will get the interactor from itself. The player transform this guy. And the Pathfinder, unfortunately, we can't give it. So it needs to find itself because this is prefab. Okay, we can't assign scene objects here. And this is again 2-axis cam. It is good. The player camera is also not here, so it needs to get the main camera. And the run schema can be run button, maybe. That's shift. And we will get into that. And let's leave the rest for now. Now save the scene. Now the integration part. Okay. So Opsive, first of all, has its input script in Unity input. It is right here. Let's open it. Okay. But the thing is, we need to change around to 300 here, I guess. Yeah, the get access row internal. So we need to change this one. Instead of that, return interactor. So interactor AI input is not here. So that's because Opsive actually uses assembly definitions for some of its folders. So this input script is in the shared folder, and shared folder has an assembly definitions. So it doesn't allow to reach out of its own namespace. Okay, so to reach that, we have our Interactor AI input script in the Interactor scripts folder here. We need to move this one into that folder. So this way Opsive can reach to that. I'm gonna relocate it into shared folder. And that's done. Now it will compile. Now Opsive can reach Interactor AI input class. We can still continue to reach too. So it doesn't change anything for us. The only thing now, Opsive can access that. So return Interactor AI input dot get access and the button name. That's it. Let's save it. Let's go back. Now let's have a quick test right now. Also, I want to see my scene as well. Select locomotion. Our character is here. Let me see if the grid is okay. Let's enable the debug view. Okay, debug view here, and things looking good. Except we again have some colliders. I think we missed. So you can find those on character, I guess. Other than that, the grid is okay. Let's go back. So if I press E, sorry, it was F, right? If I press F, the character goes. But the thing is, character doesn't rotate. Okay, so that means the setting on InteractorAI here, rotate player character directly, doesn't work for Opsive. And because as you can see, we can't rotate this character. The controller doesn't allow that. It always resets for the same rotation. So we need to fix that, right? Since Opsive also can't reach the other namespaces for Interactor, normally you can fix that from your from InteractorAI. So over here. So this InteractorAI script has some public functions for you. So you can get your rotations from your controller. So you can assign your rotation by yourself, right? But Opsive can't reach to our namespace. So we can move all scripts to its folder. So we need to do it here on InteractorAI, okay? So InteractorAI needs to reach to our Opsive controller instead. So to do that, let's go over here, maybe under the Pathfinder. Let's add our Opsive controller. It is the ultimate character controller. It is character, I guess, and the third person, or ultimate third person. There it is. So we will create an ultimate local. So we are creating our reference here. Let's save and go back. This is also quite short, don't worry, but we need to do that. So we created our reference point here. So it will reach to our ultimate character controller script, and it will change its rotation from the code. So we can assign it from here, right? We can assign it like that, or you can drag your character right here. Now it is reaching to itself on the controller. Now we have our controller, and we have our rotation adjustment on the update. Sorry, where is it? There's initiation. Where's my update? There it is. So we are setting our forward on update, and we are setting our rotation on fixed update. Let's go here. Set rotation. There it is. On line 537. So if we rotate directly, we are changing the transform rotation. Else, we can change this part, and we can say else ultimate character locomotion dot set rotation, and we will assign this rotation to there, and also we will add false, so it won't rotate the camera. That's it. Let's save. Let's go back. Now we are changing rotation instead of transform by setting the rotation of the controller. But don't forget to disable this. Now we can try again. Let's try. Locomotion. So we are here. I'm pressing F. Okay, it is trying to rotate character, but not much. It is struggling, right? The first reason is we set too low turn speed, I guess. Maybe increase it to 10. Let's try again. I'm pressing F. Okay, it is trying to rotate, but it is also struggling. So there is an issue with the updates. So let's go back to our InteractorAI. So for our updates, we are updating the forward, and we are updating the rotation on fixed update. So one of them doesn't fit for the Opsive. So I know that it is the forward. Let's remove the forward and add it right here. That's it. Let's save. And so the forward setting also will be on fixed update. So they will be synced for Opsive, I hope. Let's try again. Locomotion. I'm pressing F. All right. It looks all right now. The one thing though, you need to adjust some values maybe. So speed can be 1, stopping distance, okay. Maybe turn speed 6. Maybe slow down on turns a bit more. 30 degree is okay. Let's try again. So we are here. We are pressing F. The character goes by itself. There it is. So let's go up and let's see what's going on. So I really like this tunnel. So I can test it here too. Alright. If we go further away, maybe behind these objects, we can also run. Maybe too far away, right here. Run. It's slowing down and stopping the exactly same spot. Okay, so that was for the Opsive controller. And now let's save the scene. We can change into our last integration to GameKit controller. Alright, so this is also one of the popular controllers on store, and we have our controller here. This is the version 3.6 GameKit controller. So I have again my fresh installs here, both. And now let's start integration, right? This is also works out of the box with Interactor. We just need to add it on the correct spots. So this is a bit more complicated character, as you can see. It has really lots of stuff. Okay, so we need to find the correct spots. So I guess it is the player controller here, okay, because it has the animator component on it. So I will set up the Interactor right here. So let's first close these guys again, so we will navigate easier on the object. Okay, there it is. Now let's start adding Interactor again. I'm gonna start Interactor and create my save file for the GameKit controller. So this is left hand, and auto. Now this is right hand and auto. Also the layer, let's see what layer is this. It is the player but with a lowercase p. So let's change it. Okay. And let's add InteractorAI. We have again 2 parts. Of course you can add 5 body parts with feet and body as well to all controllers. I'm just adding hands because it will take shorter. Left hand and right hand, mesh the bones. We can close the debug view, by the way. And let's see if we have anything extra on our hands. So it is the character rig is right here. Root, spine, shoulders, arms, forearms, and hands. There it is. But they have also, let me increase this. They also have some extra objects. So left hand has 2 objects, mount point and hit combat. Okay. So the right hand has 3 objects, 3 extra objects, other than the fingers. So mount point, hit combat, and shoot zone. Okay, I excluded them. And while we are here, I'm gonna copy left hand and right hand and move them out of the way up to empty hierarchy. So I think we are done with the rig. Let's close it down. So let's add these 2 objects, Interactor targets. So this is left hand, it will use itself. This is right hand. Again, it will use itself as source. Now let's not forget this time to exclude from the targets as well. This has 3, 1 point. So this is a one-time thing. So when you are done with that, you can easily spawn your targets. And I think we are done. Let's also reset their positions to origin point. Yep, we are done. So let's create our prefabs, and we can delete those. Now open our spawner window and assign our newly created targets. Okay, now we can create our first interaction here. Let me create a cube here again, so it will be consistent. Okay, so I'm gonna again spawn my, oh, we didn't rename that, shame. Anyways, left hand, let's rotate it and give the same gesture. Okay, let's move it further. No, not this one, the object. Okay. Come on. Okay, let's add our interactor object and let's try. Interactor object on the cube, and it will be again manual button with settings. Okay, on the character, the player controller, let's also add our basic input and basic input interact. So basic input interact and basic UI, and we are done, right? I think we are done. Let's try. Okay. Okay. So this character is here, our interaction is here. When we close by, it shows the E button, and when I press, it interacts. It is also, this one is also a bit faster. Let's lower it down again. E button, still a bit fast. Maybe 2.7. There it is. Okay, so Interactor again works out of the box with GameKit controller. So the setup is done. Now let's integrate the InteractorAI. Let me adjust this here. I think it is around these values. These speeds can change on different character IK passes, because maybe this character calls IK pass more times if it has more layers. Okay, so let's add our pathfinder. Do I have it here? Copy. I'm gonna add my pathfinder. Let's add our path grid right here. Now let's place it on this ground layer, ground position, and let's add as 55, 50 again. Okay, looks alright. So it will again use the player layer, and it will ignore the player layer. Now let's create our extra ignore layer. Maybe here, mask. So we have our ground object here. This is it, right? Yeah, this is the ground object. Let's assign it to our ignore mask. Anything else? I don't think so. Everything else looks collidable to me. So let's leave it and set our ignore mask on the path grid. Ignore mask. Okay, what else? So the node is good. The player radius and height. Let me quickly find those. It is 0.3 and 2. Okay, 0.3 and 2 meters. Oh, I didn't thought this character is that tall. Then player step is 0, and interactor object we need, it says. And let's create our AI target. And this is going to be AI target. So this is going to be point where we stand, where we go when we select this object. So maybe here with this rotate. Okay, not this rotation. With this rotation. Okay, maybe a bit lefty. Okay, let's assign this one to our target and add the object to path grid. We are done with this. And lastly, let's add our InteractorAI again. InteractorAI. Now we need to assign our interactor, which is on the player controller. And we need to assign transform. So the thing is, you need to assign the player controller here, not the player and game management or player one, or it will get some different directions because they have different directions. So I will get player controller here as the player transform. And for the pathfinder, it is here. Again, 2-axis cam. And the player camera, okay, right here, I guess. This one, main camera, main camera. Is it this one? Yes. So let me check if this is main camera. Okay, and it has camera. All right. The next main camera is done. Run schema, you can select again. Again, it is using left shift here. It's like a universal thing. The rotate player directly, yes, this time it works. And now let's adjust these values. So speed is 1, okay. Stopping distance maybe 0.5. So when it is 50 centimeters left to position target, the character will start to slow down until the point of this speed. Otherwise, if this is 0, the character slows down, and it will take too much time because it will go too slow. So this needs to be set. And turn speed maybe, okay, 4, okay, 1. This can be maybe 75%. This is 25 for the minimum angle to slow down when rotating. Okay, this looks fine. Let's save the scene. Now the thing is integration. For the integration part for GameKit controller, it was player input manager right here. Let's open our script. Sorry, it is here. So it is on the 258 right here. It uses again input get axis. So you can, as I said, change your get axis in your different controls as well if you are not using these. If you are using different controller, but the idea is always same. Okay, so it is getting the x and y axis from this input get axis. So I'm gonna close this one, sorry, and instead of I will add myself. So copy this. So this is going to be InteractorAI input get axis. I'm not even changing one line, I'm just changing one word. That's how easy it is. Okay, so let's save and we are done. You just need to find these input checks in your controller and change them with InteractorAI input. Now we can check our player. I think everything is set. Let's test it. Okay, let's see if our grid is all right. Let me open my debug view. Where is our grid? Okay, grid looks perfect. It took every collidable object in its area. Let's go to game. So I have my weapon. Let's place it down. Now I'm going away from object. I'm pressing E, and it goes by itself to interact. There it is. And that's how you do it for the GameKit controller. Even the character sprints if we sprint, but the sprint needs some adjustments for stopping down, right? When we sprint, it is coming too fast. But if we don't sprint, I'm pressing E again, and the character goes to interaction smoothly. All right, that's it. So if you have questions, you can ask me, you can send me mail, or you can send some messages on the forum, Unity forum. Yeah, that's all about it. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.